Wow, Lorenza Wildcard. I like the W. That's cool. Thanks so much for agreeing to chat with me today. I've been really watching all the stuff you've been doing, releasing your music, and lots of stuff going on. So I know this is a really busy time for you, you know?
It is indeed a busy time. All of this year really has been pretty busy, actually. And thanks again for having me. It's my very first interview with China. So I'm, this is a big day for me.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I've had quite a busy year. All year's been frantically busy, in fact. I released a single in March, and then I had 2 more singles in September, and I'm coming out with another single in November. So you can imagine it's been pretty hectic, but I've been loving it. It's been so much has been happening, and it's fantastic to see the reaction also of my fans and people who are interested in my music, what I've got to say, and it's really nice to have the feedback, because when I started, and I didn't start that long ago, it was like I started by pure chance. My journey started just by chance, and I didn't know if this was gonna even work out for me, if I had it in me, if I was gonna enjoy it. And now instead it's like, okay, so now I'm starting to have a fan base, and I'm getting feedback, and I'm pushing out like singles on a regular base, and it's all very exciting. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, it looks to me, don't know if I'm wrong on this, but it looks like the first song that you released was You and I in 2021. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful song.
It was a song that I wrote. I never written a song before that one, and I was just going through and I was going through a really difficult time, and one day I just decided to put in writing what I was going through. So I picked up my guitar, which, by the way, I play in a very experimental way. I don't come from musical education, so I play it by intuition. I don't even know the name of the chords. I just put the fingertips on the chords, on the tabs, wherever, when I like the sound, I'm like, okay, I'm going with this. So I sat down, I put my feelings on paper. It was really raw, and I did it like in a couple of hours. Then I recorded it on my phone, because I thought, I've got it, I may as well record it. So I recorded it on my phone, and then I thought, well, I've got this, so I may as well share it with somebody. And I thought I'll share it with just 4 friends. And then 24 hours later, I was approached by a music producer, and weeks later, I was flown to a recording studio. We recorded a song, and I'd never sung in front of anyone. So that was my very first experience of even singing in front of anyone. So this is how it started. So as you can see, it's not like I was one of those people who grew up singing, who wanted to be on a stage, who wanted to perform. I was definitely not one of those people. And I never in a million years would have thought this is going to be me. If somebody years ago came to me and said, this is going to be you in a few years' time, I would have honestly said, you may want to have a trip to the hospital, because you're probably a bit crazy.
That checked out. I have never heard a story like that. I mean, so often what happens is people say an overnight star, and it looks that way, but actually these people have been developing their skill and everything for years and years and years.
Yes.
But yours, first song ever.
Yeah.
And you played it for some people. It got to a producer who that. That's crazy. I've never heard a story like that ever, And
also, people sometimes have asked me, oh, it's because you worked at MTV. Just for the record, I did not send it to my MTV friends. I sent it to 4 friends who had nothing to do with the media industry, because I thought if I send it to my media friends, they would probably laugh at me, thinking I'm having a crisis and I'm trying to reinvent myself. So I sent it to 4 friends that had got nothing to do with the media industry. So it was baffling to me that 24 hours later, then I got approached by a music producer. And actually, when I got contacted by this music producer, I thought, this is crazy. This is not my story. This is not going to happen to me.
Is that
And
Piers Mortimer? Is that the same producer?
no, it's a different producer. This the first producer is Ettore della Campa, and he approached me because he really loved the song, he loved the lyrics, and he contacted me and said, "Would you be interested in coming into a professional studio, record it?" And I thought it was a joke. I thought, this is not gonna happen to me. So I hung up. I hung up the phone.
Oh, that's classic. Oh, that's so funny.
And then he contacted me again the second day. And again, I hung up because I thought, again, this is becoming ridiculous.
Prank call.
And he did it again on the third day. I guess he was really keen. And he said, look, why don't we just, if you don't want to come in the studio, can you just re-record it? And I'll, record it a bit better. And I'll see what I can do. And so I was like, reluctantly, I did it. I thought, he's not asking me for money. So, okay. So I did it. I sent it to him. And on the fourth day, he calls me back and is like, listen, I can't work like this. And he says, if you're serious about this, you're going to have to come into a recording studio. And I said to him, first of all, I'm not Adele. And second of all, I'm not giving you any money. He laughed and then he said, I don't want you to be Adele, you're being you, and this is great. And no, I'll produce you, so you won't be paying anything because I'll be producing it. And then weeks later, I found myself with my guitar on a plane going to a recording studio, and that's how it all began. But even when I came back with the single, I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I guess I didn't really. Yeah, I didn't believe in my abilities because it seemed a bit too strange. So I came back and I had this single and I was like, what am I going to do with it? And my friends were like, you're going to have to push it out there. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do this.
Staring at these cards I did not choose, holding on my breath not to go loose. Even in this place so dark and strange, without you by my side, I will never burn it down. You and I, my friend, we've never been apart, but now I walk alone.
And then I got mentioned in a local magazine and I thought nothing. And then like a week later, it was picked up by a local radio station. And within a couple of weeks, I was in the chart for this radio station in the UK. And then it just went on from there. It was on the chart for 20 consecutive weeks, of which 18 are number 1. And then from there, I remember still, I had a call from a radio station in Texas. They asked me for an interview and I thought, I'm gonna second. This is getting a little bit crazy. And that one call with a radio station in Texas then opened up the door to many other opportunities.
I'm better now, I'm rising through, and from the ashes, I got my army. I got my army.
And I think it was about that time that I thought, okay, I thought this was fun and maybe that I would do it for a while and just, ride the wave. But then when I got to that point, I thought, okay, I think I've got something here and I'm enjoying it. I love it. I want to experiment with it. And then other things started to happen because I started to do gigs as well. And started to get musicians approach me and asking me, do you need a drummer? Do you need a bassist and all of that? And before I knew it, I found myself with a band. I still remember the first day that I walked into a rehearsal room and I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to have my game here because now I'm a singer-songwriter. I got band, support band. I'm gonna have to own it, and I need to go from there. And it's been a fantastic ride. It's been amazing, absolutely amazing.
That is absolutely
and it's
incredible.
Fantastic for me to be able to share with my fans the journey that I've been going through, because You and I is a song that was written in a moment, and it's representative of that particular moment in my life when I was incredibly wounded. I was lost. That was then, and there has been such an evolution, and I moved on from that point in my life, and my music speaks volume about the journey that I've had. And so I'm really excited about being able to share it. And I even like the fact that as my music is coming out, I get phone calls from the radio station going like, "Would like to have an interview with you. Your sound is changing." And it's like, yeah, but it's part of an evolution. I'm evolving as a person, I'm evolving as an artist, I'm embracing this. And I want my audience to be part of this journey. So
yeah. Wow, that is truly, I'll repeat myself, but I've never heard a story like that. That's amazing. And then, so one of the things that I read about you was that your plan is to release a new single every month until the end of 2023. Is that still the plan?
So I think I announced it just 2 days ago. So your interview is Doc. Just 2 days ago, I announced that my next single, Wasting My Time, is coming out on November 10th.
Yep.
And I'm super excited about this one. Actually, it's a really exciting song. And my plan was to release one more, but because of how everything works around December and already mid-November, people start to kind of move on to the more like Christmassy songs. I decided that probably is best to have one more single this year, but I've released already 2 like in September. So I kind of knew that this was probably gonna happen. So I released 2 together, that they were so different from each other as well.
Ooh, I wanna be one, I wanted to tell me what you've seen. The secret to this that makes you tick, I'm keen to disagree. It's the beast that lives in me. 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila. 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila. 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila. What I wanna do is dance. I'm a masterpiece creation, no control for crazy. Way too hard for you to handle. I'm nobody, how you smiling? As if you got to, baby, it's your flaunting. Oh, baby, please be real.
And then I'm releasing another one now, and then there's gonna be another one in January, and I'm thinking about early January, like shake up things beginning of the year, and then
Nice.
we'll take it from there. But yeah, there's definitely a few more coming. Let's talk about the new single coming out.
Yeah.
How about that? Because it's the 8th of November, and in 2 days' time, my new single comes out. So this one is called "Wasting My Time," and it's a little bit different from the rest of my repertoire. It's very energetic. It's super fierce, sassy. It's about meeting somebody that you think they're wasting your time, but at the same time, you're halfway between being amused by this massive waste of time that they created in your life, but you're kind of bemused, so you're kind of sticking around just to see like how much more drama can you pull. But you get to the point where you say, all right, okay, well, this was fun, but yeah, okay, bye. The song is really playful. It's going to be more rock than you've heard before, and it's got a total attitude. It's like I said, it's fierce, it's sassy, it's witty and bold, and I love the fact that we managed to give it the right energy. It's really energetic. There's some lashes of electric guitars, there's quirky violin riffs, and it's really exciting, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. It's I think it's a right transition. There was a bit of there's another song that we were thinking about releasing before, but I think this one is the perfect one to be released now. It's a nice transition, and it's really nice, fun, and quite fast as well. So
So some people will be hearing "Wasting My Time" here first. That's awesome. That's cool.
Absolutely.
So this is going to come out to people on November 8th.
Amazing. So November 8th,
I,
hello.
I know, it's
So
like perfect.
in a couple of days' time, my single is coming out. So don't forget to go check it out, because this is going to rock your world.
To look at this for what it is and not for what we hope that this could become. I've had some time to think and now I see the fun was good but not enough to stay put. I know I must go wrong to say stop, but all you do is
Do that. Premiere exclusive. I love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been looking on social media. You put a little, I can't remember,
Yeah.
like 10-second clip or something like that. And you're also talking like what you're talking about with allowing your fans to follow along on the journey. I guess I fall into that because I've been watching like when you were posting the pictures about how you shot that video and the photo shoot. I was like,
Yeah.
6
The
degrees.
photo shoot
Man,
was
that's cold.
hilarious. The photo shoot was hilarious. I love planning things, but at the same time, I like to do things even in a spur of the moment. If you get a good idea, I think just go with it. And I had so the team was coming from London, and we were meeting up, and we had some locations, and we were assessing everything. And then that morning, I had an idea, and I was like, I know we got all of these locations. What about a laundrette? What about a coin laundrette? And they were like, interesting, but is there a laundrette nearby? And I was like, I think there is one. And so we didn't actually even contact the owners. We just turned up there, and we thought it's an evening, probably there's not going to be many people.
Yeah.
And we just turned up, and we were dressed the part, and the photographer and the choreographer and everyone, and I just stormed in, and I was laughing because that morning it was all planned that morning, and I had an idea of for an outfit, but I thought this is probably going to be too daring, so they're probably not going to go with this. So I said, well, I have this idea about like this, and they were like, okay, can you try opening your shirt? And I'm like, yes. I was thinking that's where I was heading anyway, but okay, fine. But I was planning on putting something else underneath, like a vest or something. And I just had my bra, and they were like, that looks great. And I thought, it does, but I'm gonna be in a public place, basically in my, showing my bra. And it's a little bit like strange. But you know what? We were having so much fun. We just went and did it. And there were people actually in the laundrette, and it was chaos. It was absolutely chaos, but everyone loved it. Everyone was like into it. And we had an enormous amount of fun. And I think one of the things that to me is really important, especially when I started this journey, has always been about enjoying it. If it becomes stressful, I'm not talking to myself, if you end up comparing yourself to other artists and what they're doing and what the game is, and you're getting stressed and you're not enjoying it anymore, then it's time to pack up. So to me, it has to be fun. It has to be like something that I enjoy and that I run with it and experiment. And it's so much in the music as well as in everything else that I do. My content is fun. What I push out there is personal at times, but it's very much like I'm having fun with it, and I want people to have fun with it as well. So it's sharing and having fun, and enjoying the process. But doing the photo shoot for that was so much fun.
Yeah, it looks like it just looks like it was a lot of fun, actually, So I'm looking
I'll be
forward to
posting more pictures. I always love posting the pictures of the behind the scenes, because it kind of makes people feel like they're more part of your journey. So I'm definitely going to be posting more pictures of that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So there are so many things that I had in mind that I wanted to ask you, and now you've actually created more questions for me now. So like
Sorry.
No, it's great. I mean, the worst thing would be if I was like, okay, we're 10 minutes in and I have nothing to say. That would be terrible. I guess I'll go with my question about your writing process, because you just explained that your first song in 2021 was literally your first song. Like it was.
Yeah.
And so how does that work now? Like you've got a band and you play the guitar in a way that you can't say to them, play a D minor and play an A, and so like how does that work? I can't imagine.
I'm trying to keep it straight face, but I'm feigning. It is. It is a little bit strange because so a producer told me once, it doesn't really matter whether you have a musical background or not. The most important thing is to find a language that other people understand. And if you describe music, say, as dishes, like it needs to be a little bit more spicy, or this is a bit too creamy, you need to find a language that you guys understand. And
okay.
And for me, working with the band and the producers is pretty much like that. So recently I'm actually a little bit embarrassed by this, but like sometimes I don't know the names of things. Like I said, I don't come from a musical background. I write by intuition. They are my songs, they are my melodies, but I do it by intuition. So I was looking at the drum and I was like, okay, right, so Owen, I need you to play a little bit more of that, but not that. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, don't hit the plate. And it was like, what do you mean don't hit the plate? And it's not the plate, obviously. It has a name, symbol, and all of that. But sometimes I don't know the names, but I'm still able to communicate. And the proof is in the fact that I've already pushed out singles, and clearly I can do this. But it's trying to find a way of communicating that works. I normally write the songs by myself. I'd like the idea of doing a collaboration, but so far I've got a lot of material of my own, and I don't find the writing difficult, which is very strange. I don't find it difficult at all. And often it starts with an idea, like for instance, I may just be going into my studio, I pick up the guitar and I'm like jamming, and then suddenly I hit a chord that sounds right, and then another one that sounds right, and together they sound good, and then I'm playing that, and then normally I leave it, and then maybe the next day I'll do it again and I'm mumbling a line, and then from there it's like a concept, and it becomes like, okay, so I've got this one line, and in my head this song is about X, Y, Z, and then writing about it, it's never too difficult for me. I find it quite easy, and it's quite it's quite nice, actually. It's a nice process.
Yeah.
And then it's going with the band and telling them, okay, so it sounds like this, and it will be me on the guitar. Sometimes it's not even me on the guitar. So I got a story for you, actually. Tequila.
Okay.
So Tequila was one of the two singles that came out a few weeks ago, in September, and it was totally different from anything I've done before, in the sense that it's a dance song, and I don't actually, my sound is more like rock, pop, bluesy, Americana sound, and dance wasn't in the book really. But I had this idea, and I have this melody in my head that came from a couple of things that happened, and I thought, okay, I'd love to go into the studio and record it, but I knew that I didn't want the sound of a band. I wanted synth sounds. I wanted it to be more dancey, so not band. Mm-hmm. When I went and discussed it with the producer, and he gave me a really good price, I said to myself, effectively, one song is like if it's free. Effectively, I can play with it. So I'm gonna do this song. But I was so busy because I just released my Army in March. Because I released my Army, and literally the week after that day, so I released it on Friday, on the Monday, I was back in studio recording again.
One tequila, two tequila, three tequila. On the dance floor now. Looking at me like you want me, like this was gonna go just your way. Baby, you know this ain't gonna walk around and rock a body. As if you got to, baby, it's your flaunt.
So it's been really frantic. I didn't have the time to write it, but I had the concept in my head. I knew what it sounded like, and I knew what I wanted to talk about, and I had a couple of lines in my head, like one tequila, two tequila, three tequila, you're looking like you like it. And I didn't have the heart to tell the producer, but I did not write the song until the night before, the day before I wrote it. And then I turned up in the studio and I said, listen, I don't want you to I don't want you to stress me. I've never done anything like this. This is what it sounds like. The demo is just me humming it. And if this is too much for you, that's okay. But I don't want to feel worried about this. I want to have fun with this song.
Right.
And he listened to the demo and I was like, and he was smiling. I was like, oh my God, you're smiling because you think it's rubbish. Like, the demo is not good enough for you, isn't it? Like, you can't tell what the song is. And he was like, no, I'm smiling because actually I know what you're talking about. I can hear the melody. It's a pretty good demo, actually. And I think I know what you want. And then we worked on it. We worked on it for a day and it just came so easy. I must say the producer is amazing. I work with this guy called Piers Mortimer. And he works at Headline Music Studios. He's amazing. And he produces other artists, like legendary artists like Jamiroquai, Deep Purple, and many others. And he's so talented. We always joke, and I always say, oh my God, you're like a music god. But it was really sweet as well, because he was saying to me, yes, but this is your song. I'm producing it. This is your song, though. And that's really flattering. But I didn't write it until the day before.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, the moment.
You already touched on it. I was gonna say, like, it seemed like such a departure because I think the first thing I heard from you was My Army. I think it was the first thing that I actually heard, and I was like, oh, that's like really catchy, and it's like just sticks in my head, you know. And then I heard the remix of that by Chris Page, right?
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
I'm better now, I'm rising through, and from the ashes I got my army. I got my army.
And then I heard Call the Devil.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what just happened?
What I wanna do? Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you know.
It's like completely different sound, and then I heard Tequila. That's when I, like, after
And
those.
then when you thought, okay, wow, what is she doing?
No, it's just like the versatility. I think you wrote.
Did you think, wow, this is a real wild card?
Ah, the name makes perfect sense now. I think you wrote this. It said, being yourself while exploring musical genres.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I thought about it. I thought, okay, these are definitely very different songs, but it does sound like it's coming from the same person, you know?
Did you? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Maybe at this point that's because you're writing them yourself. You're not collaborating with people, because I have written songs with other people before, and it changes directions in a way that I would have never imagined. Which lots of times I like that, but in what you're doing right now, it seems to me like this wild card thing. It's different styles, but it definitely sounds like you.
Yes, it does indeed. And I remember I did consider going back working with the same producer of you and I. It didn't work out for many reasons. He was busy, and also I wanted to explore different sounds. And one of the things that he was concerned about, he wanted to make an album. And I said, I have the material to make an album, actually, because I have been writing a lot. But I didn't want to write an album in the sense that I wanted to be able to experiment with different sounds. And he was against the idea. He was like, no, because it's not going to work out. When I wrote My Army, he contacted me again and said, it's a great song, but would you consider releasing it under a different name? And I was like, no, I'm proud of it. I don't want to use a different name. When I met Piers at Headline Music Studios, again, we sat down and we discussed it. We did record first My Army, and I thought, if I can feel that I work really well with this guy, I'll probably go back and record more. And I really enjoyed working with him. We were just like on the same frequency. So I went back and I said, I'd like to record more songs. And I spoke to him about what I wanted to do. And he sat me down. It was really sweet. It was like, okay, right. So you and I has a particular sound. Everything else that you brought here it's different. I love it, but are you sure that you want to go down that route? Because that's going to take you away from you and I, and it's going to send you into a level of you're getting like rock. There's punkiness in there sometimes, some grunginess even. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you comfortable? And I was like, yes, that's my sound. That's what I want to do. And then he said, okay, but you also have this song which is dense, 100 beats per minute, synths. That's got nothing to do with the rest. And I said, I know. And he said, you know, because they also have the record label on the side, and it's like, you know, we would be careful advising this because it is wildly different. Are you sure you want to do this? Do you know the consequences?
Mm.
And I said, yes, I'm aware of this, but I want to do it. And I said, you could release it under just Tequila, you could release it under a different name. And I said, no. And I really thought long and hard about this. This is my journey. I'm so happy that I can share it with people, that I can share my music with people, and that I'm, you know, from the messages that I'm getting, is somewhat, you know, empowering them, making them feel like inspired to do things, and it makes them have emotions. So I'm really happy. But at the same time, I'm not interested in being labeled, because as an artist, you want to be able to express yourself. And to me, part of being an artist is being able to free yourself from labels, to experiment, see where that journey takes you, and not being so worried about fitting into a category and being worried that if you do something different, then you may not be liked. I'm not making music to be liked. I'm not making music to please people. I'm happy to share it. And I'm grateful for the phenomenal responses, but this is my journey, and I want to be able to experiment with music, and I don't want to use a different name as if I'm ashamed of it somehow. I'm not. This is who I am.
I think that's really interesting what you say, because I mean, if this was maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago or something like that, I'm not sure how that would look, you know? But the way the market works today, it seems like to put out an album of similar sounding songs, you know, it seems to me, like you just said, like very limiting, you know? Whereas if you're putting out single, you can put out whatever came to you at that moment that felt right at the time. And the way that you produce it and the way that you release it is what makes sense for that song at that moment. You know?
Yeah, totally. It really is. And also, like, working on an album, it takes a long time. Imagine if I was to work on an album, it would probably take like even a year. But by the time you release it, well, it's like, that was my phase back then, but I'm now in a new phase. And it's like, to me, kind of detaches you from your audience. There's a certain openness when I write my lyrics. I'm not afraid of showing my vulnerability, but I'm also quite unapologetic about the way that I write. And I think it's important to be able to share your music when it's happening, when it's fresh. So that, again, it's part of the process and part of inviting people to be part of your journey and enjoy it. I also think that when you put together an album, so much work goes into it. In the time that we live, I think that you put so much work, you push out an album, and it's like, okay, here it is. And then a couple of months later, it's all done. But if you keep pushing out singles, you keep the momentum, you keep the attention, and it's fresher, I think.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, for me, that makes perfect sense in terms of the way the music market in general, it works now. It's not like people aren't going out and buying an album or a CD or whatever. You know, if you buy vinyl, great. But most
anymore.
People, well, I mean, vinyl, I think, is a good thing for established bands that have just a set of music that they can just put on there, you know?
I agree totally. But for somebody like me, for the majority of the, say, indie artists, I think I would say, my humble opinion, I think pushing out more singles is more important. And then you can still put them together into an EP. But even an EP that has 5 songs, for instance, you push them out. And then yeah, you're getting the attention for that kind of months, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, and then it's over.
At this point, I don't see the real benefit, like I think that's an older style of releasing music, and what is happening currently, what you are doing makes much more sense. So I think you're very clever to be insistent on that. And yes, don't, like, I agree with you. Don't put out stuff under some other name, because why would you? Like, a lot
of people do this, actually. A lot of people do this. But it's funny because you say, well done you, but I've had a lot of doubts about it. It sounds like I'm super confident, like going out there and doing my own things, but it comes at a price. Even though I go out there and I'm quite ballsy and I'm like, no, I'm doing it my way. In my head, though, I'm thinking, am I doing the right thing? Am I being crazy? It's like, why no one else is doing like this? And I've had 2 meetings with 2 record labels just last week.
Okay.
And it was really hard, because even when they want to offer you a service, their service, and they're looking at what you're doing, and one of the things that I was told, you're pushing them out too quickly, you're gonna run out of creativity. And I was like, I'm not gonna run out of creativity. I mean, I got plenty more where this came from.
I actually have that written down. I have that written down because I remember reading that you posted that, and I was like, wow, that is some nerve, like to just go, no, I will keep coming. They'll keep coming out,
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
I also watched your video about the beast in the cage. Seriously, like it applies to what you're saying right now, because people could look at you and say, oh, this is like an ultra confident person, which I think is probably true. But an ultra confident person doesn't mean there's the absence of self-doubt, that, all those types of things, insecurities. So I love that you put out that video, actually.
Okay, so here's a tip on how to deal with your insecurities. Now, imagine that you are going to enter a cage. And in that cage, there's a beast. And the beast represents anything that you are insecure about. Be it your look, the way you talk, the way that you do something. It represents whatever insecurities you have. Now, you have 2 options. Option number 1, you let it crush you. And then you spend the rest of your time basically in a corner of the cage, fearful and upset the whole time. Or option number 2, you understand the beast and you befriend it. And then not only you can go past the beast to the other side of the cage where there's a door and you can get out of that cage, but by the time you leave the cage, you will have right next to you the most fierce and loyal ally, and that will weaponize you against future criticism. Huh? Top tip by Wildcard.
I think that was really cool that you said that. Like, it's not about not doubting yourself. It's about figuring out when the doubt is not founded and move forward on what you believe in anyway.
Yes, totally. And I know what you mean, because like sometimes people will ask me, but why are you worried about this? And I'm like, well, I know, like, it seems like from the outside it's all coming easy, and I don't want to give that illusion, actually, because it's a lot of hard work. For me, the way this journey started, it was by chance, but I'm not here today because of chance. I worked really hard to be where I am, and I'm putting a tremendous amount of work to be here and to do what I'm doing. So, if you're a musician and you're watching this interview and you think, oh my God, she got it easy, so, anyone can do it. I would say, yes, anyone can do it for sure. And I actually hope that it's going to happen to many more people. I don't feel like I'm in a competition with anybody else. I hope that we all make it. But it's a lot of work. And in all of that massive amount of work that you're going to have to put, there's an enormous amount of doubt, especially if you try to do something that other people don't do. For me, the way that I've started this music journey has been literally my way. And again, when I started and I was asked, what do you want to do? The first producer said to me, what are you going to do? Are you going to start like this career? Are you going to embrace it? And I was like, I don't know.
Mm.
And he said, whether you like it or not, you are a singer-songwriter. You have it in you. But the question is, do you want to do it? And to me, it's always been working at MTV, seeing the celebrities, working backstage. I've seen the glossy side and the not so glossy side. And I always thought, if I do this, I'm going to do it my way. And I'm going to do it with my army, which again goes with the song was, I want to be able to do it with an army of people that I trust. I want to do it my way so that I don't get sucked into that industry that can really chisel you and get to you.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it my way, but lots of doubts. And talking to the 2 record labels and them pointing out all the things that I'm doing differently and who do I think I am even is like, okay, right. Yes on that, not so much on that. I'm still gonna do this.
Well,
So,
they said
you
this.
know.
They said the same thing to a 19-year-old Prince when they told him he couldn't
Yeah.
record those songs and he couldn't play all his own instruments. And I mean, Prince, like he told them, either I do it my way or I don't do it. So you might be onto something here.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Lorenza Wildcard. So we're gonna get cut off. I just want to say thank you so much for taking this time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. I actually had I had written on a piece of paper how to say thank you for having me in Chinese, but I'm not sure I can say that right. Shall I give it a go?
Yes.
Do you speak Chinese?
一点点. Yes.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay. I'm going. Okay. 谢谢你 Queen Bo. Thank you for having me.
Actually, I'm gonna look it up. I will include it in the notes here.
If I offended anyone out there, I am profoundly sorry for my inadequacy. I didn't mean that.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play that part for my wife and say, May, is that how you should say that?
But listen, I wanted to thank you so much for the opportunity to have an interview with you.
Thank you.
I wanted to say a big thanks to all my fans out there, my real army. So thanks to all of you guys out there for the amazing support that you have been giving me. All of this is possible because of you guys. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing much more from you soon.
Fantastic. All right, then. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye. And go listen to the single.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's time to look at this for what it is and not for what we hope that this could become. I've had some time to think and now I see the fun was good but not enough to stay put. I know I must go wrong.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good night.